everyone, and welcome back to the Football Chuggu Podcast. My name is Thomas Durning, and today I'm joined by my co-host, Pearse McLaughlin. Hello, Pearse.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well. On today's podcast, we'll be reacting to last weekend's English Premier League results and Scottish Premier League results. And at the end of the podcast, Pearse will be giving a rundown of all the latest Asian football news. So, as always, we'll start off with English Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 30th of November, the results finished: Crystal Palace 1, Newcastle United 1, Nottingham Forest 1, Ipswich 0, Wolves 2, Bournemouth 4, Brentford 4, Leicester 1, West Ham United 2, Arsenal 5. And then on Friday the 29th of November, just the day before that, there was one match which finished Brighton 1, Southampton 1. And then so 2 days after that, Sunday the 1st of December, the results finished: Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 0, Man United 4, Everton 0, Tottenham 1, Fulham 1, and Liverpool 2, Man City 0. So, Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
Probably the last one of the weekend, to be honest. Probably the big match. Liverpool 2, Man City 0. For me, Liverpool have been imperious this season. And I tipped them to be the Premier League champions last season because I thought they'd such a good campaign and they'd such a young squad and it was just all about clicking. But Man City ran away with it at the end last year. But with the new manager on the slot coming in, tweaked the system a little bit and added one or two players into the team, and you can see that he's got them absolutely cooking, both domestic and in Europe. They're both top of the Premier League and the Champions League group league table, and he's got them absolutely flying at the moment. And if you look at the match itself, it should have been outside in the first half. It created chance after chance, and I don't think I've seen a Man City side this weak and this vulnerable. And Liverpool took full advantage, and they came out deserving winners. But I don't think anyone could argue if it was like a 5 or 6-0 win, because that's how dominant a display it was. Because every man ran their socks into the ground, and also the quality show as well, from the midfield to the defence to the attack. I don't think Man City really threatened at all in the game. They had a little spell in the second half. For about 10-15 minutes with possession and a couple of chances, but apart from that, it was kind of like toothless for Man City. But Liverpool are just shown, for me, they're title favourites. I think they're going to win the league this year, and I think they'll go very far in the Champions League. And the fact is, they've now got a 9-point gap at the top of the table, and Man City sitting fifth, and that is another defeat for Manchester City. And for a neutral like myself of the Premier League, I don't really have a Premier League team, but to just see the form of Manchester City, it's quite frightening, to be honest. But teams all over Europe and teams with smaller budgets than Manchester City have injuries, and they manage to cope with it. But Man City having a real issue at the moment. Pep Guardiola doesn't know what to do, because I think the injury of Rodri is like the biggest one. It's the middle of the park; they just seem to be lost, and it's far too open. They've not got a natural defensive-minded midfielder there. And the attacking players are just not giving a good output, apart from Erling Haaland, who's seems to be the only one that's kind of scoring at the moment. But it's an issue both defence and attack. They needs to find a solution quickly, because this form is going to keep spiraling, and keep them spiraling down both domestic and in the Champions League. And if they're not lucky, or if they're not careful, Man City might not even finish the top 4 this season. That's how bad it might be. Because they need to stop this losing run and get a win as quickly as possible and start building momentum, because it could spiral out of control pretty quickly. But my God, I don't think he's had a form this bad in his whole managerial career. So it remains to see what this makes of him, because he just signed a new contract as well. So yeah, so Manchester City, you don't really feel sorry for them because of the budgets they've got and the squad they've got. But everyone has to deal with injuries. It's part and parcel of football, and Liverpool had it not so long ago. after winning the Champions League with Virgil van Dijk, Alisson, and a few other players get injured for the season and stuff like that. So big teams have to deal with injuries. Look at Real Madrid, for example. They've got countless injuries at the moment. Barcelona have had injuries in the past where they've had to rely on a lot of academy players. So teams have managed to cope throughout the history of football. So it's one of these things that it's just all went wrong for Guardiola at the moment. But yeah, man, Liverpool deserved victors for me, and that was definitely the match of the weekend.
Yeah, that's my one as well. You know, probably the first time I've gone to the game when I'm feeling pretty certain that Man City will pick up a loss, and it was exactly that. First 20 minutes of the game, Liverpool dominated. They could have been way out of sight. They absolutely just were totally dominant. Then Man City sort of grew back in the game, and then Liverpool scored, and then from then, kind of Man City didn't really threaten them. They had their odd moments in the game. Um, but when Liverpool went 2-0 up with the Salah penalty, the game was over. So yeah, Liverpool with a big massive victory. That's them now 11 points clear of Man City. I mean, it is still early to call, but in my opinion, I don't see Liverpool losing this title now. I think it's theirs to lose now. Man City, for me, that's them official out the title race. Really poor season. There's actually something quite interesting as well. The fact that I think Erling Haaland's their top goal scorer this season with 12 goals, and second is combined Gvardiol and Kovacic with 3 goals. I mean, that just says it all. I mean, we always talk about Man City and how many goals they score and that. But Phil Foden hasn't scored this season. Jack Grealish hasn't scored the whole of 2024. They sold Alvarez in the summer, which for me, I think is a mistake now when you look at it. Savinho still settling in. Bernard Silva not really there. So we always talk about the defence. They've got the big defensive problems, but I even think going forward as well, they've got big problems because if you took Ellen Haaland at that team, it could be even worse at the moment. Um, you know, there's something definitely going on with Kevin De Bruyne as well. I'm not really sure what's going on there because he's fully fit now, but he's still starting on the bench. And Liverpool were miles better on Sunday, and he didn't even bring him on at half time, which I was surprised about. So I definitely think there's something going on between them both. Um, but it's really poor for Man City at the moment. You know, that's 7 wins without defeat now, which is unheard of from a Pep Guardiola team. He's got massive problems to solve there. I always thought it was just Rodri, but I think it's gone beyond that now. I don't even think it's just a Rodri problem now. The fact they're missing him, I think there's so many other issues that Pep Guardiola has to solve. So yeah, another loss for Man City, and yet that was my standout match, and also yours as well. Liverpool 2, Man City 0, and then obviously Man United won 4-0 against Everton. That was Ruben Amorim's first Man United win in the Premier League, so on his home debut as well. So I just thought it was worth mentioning that as well. So we'll move on now to the Scottish Premier League results. So on Saturday, the 30th of November, the results finished Celtic 5, Ross County 0, Dundee United 2, St Mirren 0, Kilmarnock 1, Dundee 1, Motherwell 0, Hibs 3. And then on Sunday, the 1st of December, there was 2 matches which finished St Johnstone 0, Rangers 1, and Hearts 1, Aberdeen 1. So Pearse, which match stands out to you the most?
I think there's two matches that stand out to me. I think it's the first one I touched on is the Celtic 5, Ross County 0. I thought it was just a dominant performance, and quite surprised it was 5-0 at half time, and it could have been a lot more in the second half. But Ross County, to their credit, kept it a clean sheet in the second half, because a lot of teams, when you're expecting 5-0 half time, you're thinking maybe double figures. But I thought someone like a Luke McCowan come in off the fringes, started and got a goal and 3 assists. He was just virtually involved in everything. and he was only a £1 million signing from Dundee, and me and you've talked about it. I thought last season when he was at Dundee, I thought he was superb. He was one of the standout performers in the league, and to sign someone like that who can play in a variety of positions, and he's technically very good, and he works his socks off, and he's physically very good as well. I think he just every week I see him, every time I see him to come off the bench or start for Celtic, he just impresses me. I think he just fits into the system, and he's took that step up from Dundee, who came up through Championship, cemented a place in the Scottish Premiership last season, and he's kicked on again. So fair play to him. I thought he was a standout performer for me in the game, and obviously making 6 changes. And arguably Celtic probably played better with the 6 changes because freshening things up, and all the fringe players or biting, chomping at the bit to get a game, and it just shows you the squad depth that Celtic have under Brendan Rodgers at the moment. And similar to Liverpool in the Premier League, they just look like they look unstoppable at the moment. I think it's safe to say I think the title might be wrapped up already, because with Aberdeen slipping up at the weekend as well, and the big game caught on Wednesday night. Yeah, it's set up for an interesting clash there. But no, for me, I thought Celtic showed Ross County why they are the champions and why they've got such a big squad, and how much quality is throughout that whole squad. And I think the other result, which is finally we can sit here and say Hibernian have got a Scottish Premiership victory again, because it's been far too long since they last got a victory um, and it was Motherwell away from home, because I think it was a couple of weeks ago David Gray got a vote of confidence, and it didn't get any better because the results weren't great since then. So I think they got a draw and a defeat. They got so they got a terrible draw against Dundee 4-1, and then they draw against Aberdeen, which was, for me, was an enthralling encounter. But they won at the weekend. I thought they thoroughly deserved a victory, and they played really nice football at times. I think for me, one of the standout performances I've seen for the last couple of weeks from Hibernian is the boy called Nicky Cadden. He
Yeah.
scored quite a few goals, and just his set pieces and his delivery. He just seems to be like the one for me that's just kind of creating, and just kind of you can show that he's fighting for his manager. And he's one player for me that just kind of he just shines above the rest. And he's making his teammates play a bit better as well. And I thought he was like the driving force at the weekend. I thought Hibs really deserved a victory, and they played really nice football. And to keep a clean sheet as well for Hibs was superb, because they've been leaking goals left, right, and centre, and it's not all down to the manager's selection. It's all down to it seems to be like stupid individual errors at the back and just gifting cheap goals away. And the keepers, maybe the change of the keepers as well, because they've not really got a settled number one at the moment. I think they've got potentially two number twos. I don't think any of them's kind of cemented their place to say that they're the outright number one for Hibernian Football Club. But no, it's good to see David Gray get a victory, because Hibs really need that victory. Because they've had a horrible start to the season, and maybe that will ease some of the pressure and push them towards safety. Because they really need that victory. And if he got a defeat the weekend, I think he might have even lost his job. So yeah, so they two were standing fixtures.
Yeah, just one for me, and that was just the one you've just talked about there. Hibs winning away to Motherwell 3-0. Obviously, Celtic is a standout result with it, but I just think more the Hibs one, because that was Hibs' first win in 10 matches. It lifted them off the foot of the table. I think we've talked a lot in the podcast recently about the fact how much the Hibs manager David Gray's under pressure. It felt like each game he was going into, if he'd lost, he was going to get the sack. They played during the week last week. They played Aberdeen at home. I think that was a match which David Gray had to get something from. I think he'd have lost that match, he probably would have been sacked. But I ended 3-3. They got a last minute goal in that game. It's quite a crazy game, that. But they got a last minute goal in that game. So maybe they were thinking, oh, okay, right, you know, um, kind of riding the high wee bit, the fact that they managed to nick a point in the last minute. And I think they took it into this match. on Saturday because I thought they played really well. Totally deserved to win. You're right there about Nicky Cadden. Obviously, he plays with his brother, Chris Cadden, in the team, but Nicky Cadden, I think, has been a good signing for them. And the fact that they've gone to Motherwell at home, Motherwell's home ground and won 3-0, I think David Gray will be number one. He'll have a sigh of relief, and I think that's a kind of result that should kind of start Hibs' season basically, even though we're in December. But it just feels that they haven't even started this season. So that will definitely have relieved some pressure from David Gray. A really good victory for them. But now, obviously, the big thing is can they keep that going and can they be consistent going in more into the season? Obviously, you said that it was Celtic 5-0. I think you've said everything there to say. I think basically the summary of that was the first half in Celtic. They scored 5 goals. They were pretty unstoppable for Ross County. They just couldn't cope with Celtic at all. And it was a really, really convincing victory. Obviously, Celtic play Aberdeen tomorrow, which will be the Wednesday, the 4th of December, at Pittodrie. Aberdeen again slipped up on Sunday, drawn 1-1. I think a lot of people do say Celtic are basically champions elect. And I think if they were to go to Pittodrie tomorrow and win, then I think we can say that, that is probably Celtic going to win the title. So yeah, I'm expecting a good game tomorrow. I hope it is a good game. The two top teams in the league at the moment, and I hope something good happens from it. But yeah, that's my standout match from last weekend. Motherwell 0, Hibs 3. So thank you, Pearse, and thank you everyone for listening to this episode of the Football Chuggu Podcast. This podcast will be available to listen to on the Football Chuggu YouTube channel and also the Football Chuggu website. Thanks for listening and see you soon.
Bye bye.